I look at my base and I see something that's missing, and I think this has a chance to be a real showpiece. Once again, I'll be back in a hot minute. Well, that's looking just swell. Oh yeah.
How can he still be alive? This is bloody criminal. How's it going, people? Jack here with another video. So if you're wondering why I'm wearing a hoodie, it's not because I'm trying to look cool or anything, nor for aesthetic reasons. I was trying to cut my own hair the other day and I failed very badly. So I'm going to go to the barber very soon. So until then, it is hidden for camera purposes. Anyways, today I'll be reacting to yet another video from the Let's Game It Out channel, but this time it is of course very topical because if any of you have kept yourself in touch with what's going on in the science departments of things, or science news should I rather say, or maybe those kind of things don't really interest you, but I think it got into the mainstream. But we have this thing called fusion. It's essentially trying to mimic what happens inside the core of the sun, so to create more energy efficient, cleaner power than we have currently. It is also going to be a method that allows us to mitigate some of the global problems that we have right now. But speaking of global problems, we have Josh here, who is now dealing with nuclear power plants, which is of course fission, but we'll get into that in due time. Let us jump into the video.
Hey there, it's Josh. Welcome back to Let's Game It Out. Oh my god, it's time for more Satisfactory. Oh, how I missed you, Factory with no rules, limits, or logic. Satisfactory is a game of
it's running a lot smoother.
Machines. Or in my case, just find new and inventive ways to torture the game. First, we built a factory that was actually kinda normal, until I realized you could make it look like this. And then I made it look like this, and I realized the frame rate gets worse, which excites me. And then we tested those limits by building a tornado out of conveyor belts.
Oh no, the lagnado.
At it, unless you like slideshows. Then I saw this empty valley and I thought, you know what this could use? A conveyor belt weave. Not to be outbeaten, we went back over to Beltnado here and turned it into a full-fledged cocoon. After that, we moved on to other interests, like messing with these trucks here, only to realize that if you throw them all in a pit like this, they become sentient and try to escape. And I thought we might be done. And then those crazy developers just kept updating the game, so I kept trying out their new stuff, like this beautiful train station that you can even custom name. And boy did I custom name it. That's when I realized we could send them through the earth and straight to hell. And then at the tail end of the last episode, we realized one last thing left to do. Nuclear power. Oh, and also, today's video is sponsored by NordVPN, but I'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. Oh, and before we head to our first destination, check this out. The game actually runs better now, and this blows my mind.
I noticed.
God, the performance increase is amazing. This thing doesn't destroy my computer anymore. Like, I can run up to it, I can bask in its majesty. It is a brave new world. So what are we gonna do today? Play around with nuclear power, of course. We built this guy at the end of last episode, and our first step to nuclear victory is we need to go mine some uranium and shove it into this thing. Last episode, we used our little locator guide here to find uranium, which was a little ways away, but the bigger hurdle is this stuff will kill you if you get too close to it, and that's why we brought this lovely thing.
I like also that you just immediately just get the right uranium. You don't have to process it or anything or find the right isotope. Nope. Well, it's nice for the simplicities, okay? I shouldn't be that guy, right? I know, I'm for that parties.
A hazmat suit. Strap it on, makes you look super cool. Now we're ready to go face the elements. You know what? Let's do it with style in our beautiful, sexy car. Now, I feel like I took a wrong turn somewhere, but I'm gonna have faith that this is the right way. Well, everything's green. I feel like that's sort of a good sign. I think we're going to the right
That's not how it works.
I see little bits of ore here. Oh, hello, cat friends. These are supposed to be spiders in the game, but for everybody's benefit, I turned on the arachnophobia mode, which turns them into these creepy cat heads, which I think we can all agree is a little worse than
Wait, I didn't know that was an actual thing that you could do in game.
Oh, you want some too, do you? Let's get this nightmare over with. Okay, where was I? Putting down our beautiful mining drill, that's what. Never has anything in a cave looked so majestic. So right now, this thing doesn't have any power, which honestly is for the better, because if this thing is pulling out uranium while we have it set up, we're just gonna be taking on lots of radiation. Oh, did I mention to find this, I had to go through a waterfall? It's true, I wandered around for like an hour before I figured out it's back here. Okay.
So, actually, in a way, it's kind of good to have water there. Of course, we're not talking about actual water poisoning, but it's just something to cool the uranium down. It's the usual process that they use to deal with nuclear waste, but they don't just do it with normal water, they use heavy water. You know how your water is comprised of your H2O because you just have normal hydrogen there. What you then do, you replace the hydrogen with deuterium, which has an extra neutron in its core. So yeah, that's why you get heavy water.
Okay, finally ran the conveyor belt all the way home. We're gonna stage our uranium over here. You may recognize this little place over here. In a previous video, this is where I had all of my trucks. You know, the ones that turned into a sentient species. And then I had to put them down, otherwise the game would never run again. So we're gonna stage everything here because we can't just send the uranium over raw. We gotta make two things first. Uranium cells and electromagnetic control rods. Uranium cells are the uranium itself, as well as concrete. And the electromagnetic rods are stators and AI limiters. Easy enough. Let's make a couple assemblers. We'll just place one here and also just kind of over there. We're also going to send our uranium into this guy over here, which, by the way, we haven't connected the power to that thing yet, so let's do that now. Okay, here we go. So now that we've connected the power, all we have to do is wait for the drill to do its thing and bring the uranium to us. While we wait, let me tell you about the sponsor for this video.
Hold on. To record that, he would have had to stand on the thing, right? Or is he using a mod to record? No, I don't think so. He's just doing the whole thing real time. I wonder how many times he died.
And that would be NordVPN. I don't get a chance to talk about this very much in my videos, but I actually take online privacy extremely seriously. NordVPN, thanks again for sponsoring me. And there it is. For the record, it took about 4 minutes, and it still hurts to get near, right? Oh boy, does it ever. It's kind of a shame. It's so pretty to look at. It's like a bunch of slimers just on a conveyor belt. So this guy over here is going to be for our uranium cells. The uranium we obviously have, and right in front of us at the center of our base is...
I like the simplicity of this manufacturer.
Slowly died of radiation poisoning. Now this thing's doing the magic of making uranium cells, and for our control rods, gotta grab them stators and AI limiters. Alright, AI limiters for days, and these are the stators. Thankfully, I have pretty much all of these
just dying.
Built somewhere in my base, and I just need to find them and route them over here. Now that those two things are underway, we have to turn to our old friend the manufacturer, which we're gonna build down here for kinda no reason. And in this thing, we're gonna build nuclear fuel rods, which is what can finally go inside the nuclear reactors. My favorite part about this? Very radioactive. That's what I like to hear. First, we'll send these uranium cells down there. Okay, that's one down and two down. So that connects our two nuclear things. To finish off the trifecta, we just need to get ourselves some of these encased industrial beams, which I just happen to know where there's a lot of them. It's like all the stuff I built previously was all building up to this. Also known as, thank God my production is so imbalanced, I just have extra random crap everywhere. See if we can't work quickly here. I seem to be taking on a not insignificant amount of radiation poisoning. And there we go. And we'll just send these beauties right over there. And since I've already got my medical inhaler out, this calls for a celebration puff.
You just survived cancer. My dude just solved cancer. Oh man.
Now that I've taken on 10 generations worth of radiation sickness, I'm just gonna stare off into space for a bit and let my empire just grow.
Okay, so let me just kind of put this in perspective. I can't say for straight up the straight exposure to raw nuclear material. I can tell you about, at least that I remember the top of my head, about nuclear waste, because that was like a kind of like a guideline thing that we got to the one time that I visited a nuclear power plant. But once the nuclear energy is made through the reactors, the amount of atoms in there that can be split to create the chain reaction, that is fission, is going to diminish and also cause the efficiency to get lower. So they have to replace the fuel rods, which happens around 3 to 8 years, and cool them. Once they have been cooled, they are put in this thing that are called dry cast storage, if I remember correctly. They're like temporary containers that I use on the outside to like prepare them to be transported elsewhere. But they are made of concrete, as well as they contain some sort of inert gas like helium or nitrogen. But the amount of radiation that you will get while being exposed to those, because you can stand close to them, right? They are not like dangerous to kill you, but standing around those for like about 100 hours is going to give you your yearly dosage of radioactivity. And of course 100 hours in days is around 4 days, 4 total days, okay, out of 365. So Imagine what happens to George right now in the game while he is getting exposed to multiple lifetime, as he said.
Okay, I think we're in pretty good shape now. So many beautiful fuel rods. Now comes the fun part, where I route fuel
No,
rods
you're not in
all over
good
the map
shape.
and wonder if I'm gonna melt my face off. Almost there. Finally, after all that, the fuel rods are in the thingamajig. Machine looks to be working, and boy is it a thing of beauty. Now the only thing left to do is hook it up to power. I thought that'd be more exciting. Ooh, but that smoke is. My God, look at that jump. Our capacity for power was 4,400, and then we brought the power plant online, and now it's 6,900.
I don't know what kind of ratio it is that Coffee Stain Studio has programmed in there, but to put it in perspective, a nuclear power plant will have an energy density that is 16,000 times higher than that of coal, which is of course the reason why they are producing so much less waste, because they don't need to be replaced all the time or refueled in the same manner that coal does.
That is quite the leap. So here's the other thing that happens with nuclear power. We get delicious, beautiful waste, extremely radioactive. And what are we gonna do with that nuclear waste? Well, build a bunch of conveyor belts that zigzags it through this waterfall, of course. And I'm using the slow conveyor belts because I want all that radiation goodness to get all in the water supply. And then once its slow journey is complete, all that tasty waste goes into this bin for future generations to worry about. Okay, first nuclear power plant done. And while I'm satisfied we could get that first one off the ground, I feel like there's so much more we could be doing. This gives me an idea.
He's gonna place on top. Damn it.
Can't help but think being able to look at the cocoon again is a blessing in disguise. So for the first time in a long time, we're going back in. It's been so long since I was able to climb in this thing. Here we are in the belly of the beast. These of course being our 3 oil refineries. I'm tempted to go back and change all of these Mark 1 conveyor belts to Mark 5, but even I hurt imagining how long that would take.
I was about to say it's a good thing that he never replaced those, because he wouldn't have been able to climb up. But down, he could just kill himself.
We're now here at the halfway point. You can tell because the iron rods stop and the oil begins. So I don't actually think there's an opening. I think I have to make one to get out. Nope, wait, found my opening. I'll just fly my way up there. Hopefully I don't run out of fuel for my jetpack. It's a long way down. And here we are at the very top. I know I've said it a couple of times, but I cannot stress how bizarre it is to be able to look at this thing and the frame rate maintains. Look at the dumpster that is my factory setup. God, it's like at this point, even I can't tell what goes where. So I keep forgetting that there's like stairs and walkways, and it would be really useful because we do need to find a way to get up there fast. But no one likes taking stairs, so I found a better way to get up there. It's called a bunch of bounce pads all over the place. Here, let me show you what I mean. It starts with this bounce pad right over here. So we just jump on this conveyor belt, which will launch us in at the right angle. It'll take us over to this bad boy, and it'll just start bouncing us all the way up to the top. And the nice thing is it's all set up so I don't have to do anything, and I can just bask and look at our factories, really just enjoy the ride. Oh, I'm not even moving anything. It's bouncing me for me. So I can just look around at the nice surroundings, really take in all the beautiful scenery. Are you fucking serious? Or I can just hold on for dear life and hope the whole thing works. Honestly, it works about 10% of the time. It's the best.
It works every
close
time.
To the top of the cocoon, so beggars can't be choosers. Oh, here we are coming in for a landing. Bounce off this backboard. Here comes the final bounce. I can't think of a better way to get to the top of this spiral. Okay, so you might be asking yourself, what's the plan? I mean, if you look out there, you can already see our nuclear power plant dumping nuclear waste down below. So here's what we're gonna do. I know this seems like sacrilege, but we're gonna cut the head off of the beast. And I know it seems scary, but I promise you there's a reason for everything. Remember how the top of this thing, because of the red tint, looked kind of like a warhead? Well, now we're really putting that nuclear touch on the top of it. Yeah, okay, that's looking better.
I knew it.
Got that kind of gaudy Vegas quality to it. Also, why is my nuclear reactor already showing signs of wear and tear? I haven't even hooked it up yet. And of course, we want it to look classy, right? Like, look at all the crap already floating around this thing. That majestic crown up there deserves the finest curb appeal. So first, let's make sure to loop this stuff through everything so that everything is nice irradiated. Okay, yeah, this'll do. B+ at best. So we're gonna take these fuel rods and we're gonna feed them in through the bottom of the cocoon. That way the entire thing can maintain its visual splendor. Okay, there we go. Everything is properly irradiated. Now all we need to do is connect it to the power grid. Thankfully, because of the bounce pads floating in the air over here, there's already a bunch of power lines just ready for me to connect to. God, look at that burst in power right there. Now we gotta deal with my favorite thing, nuclear waste. The waste is all gonna come out of right right here. And as is my custom, we're only going to use the finest, slowest belts we can. Now all we need to do is just run this belt full of byproduct goodness all the way down to the edge of these barrels. And
Okay, so I dread the amount of weight that he's going to produce, because like if we are comparing that to like normal production lines, we are talking everything from clove production to actually no, let's not even get into those numbers because that gets confusing. Let's take a normal power plant, like a coal power plant. The way that we usually compare the efficiency contra the waste is by looking at how many gigawatts are produced. A gigawatt is around how much energy you can deliver to a million people. So what I saw before was that his factory has the capacity of making 9 megawatts per hour. Was it that? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the thing. But a gigawatt for a coal power plant is approximately produces 300,000 tons of ash. The ash that rises from the top of the chimneys, which is actually also radioactive. That additionally to 6 to 7 million tons of carbon dioxide that ruins the air. So that's massive. In comparison, a nuclear power plant only produces around 25 to 30 tons of high-level waste, which of course has a massive half-life, but it can be dealt with pretty easily and buried on the ground. So with what I saw Josh having before, he's going to exceed the annual number of what gets produced normally. I think annually we produce 100, like the plants all around the world produce about 12,000 tons a year. And ever since the first nuclear factory that was made in the 50s, we have had like 400,000 in total tons of radioactive material laying around. Whereas, of course, let's not even jump into the numbers that we've produced in conventional manner. So, yeah, Josh, surprise us, please.
just to make it a tad more convenient, I'm going to send the nuclear waste down in one of these splitters using the power of conveyor lift technology. Thank God these things can just keep going lower and lower and lower. Look at that, you can just have it hand delivered right to the ground. You know what I think I'm going to do with all this nuclear stuff? I'm just going to add a merger to where these iron rods are coming out, and I'm just going to mix these in with the iron rods.
No.
Yeah, I'm sure this won't be a problem at all. Well, there it goes. Join your friends. You know, though, with 2 power plants, I still feel like we're not producing enough nuclear waste.
Oh no, what did he do?
Much better. There's like 50 power plants back there. But this actually poses a new problem. While our power capacity is amazing, our consumption is, conservative at best. And in order for these things to start chewing through those fuel rods, we actually have to get our power consumption up. Otherwise, they're just gonna sit here idly.
Okay. So, while I do know that there is largely an American audience in watching these videos, there are around, if I remember correctly, 90 nuclear power plants in the US. There could be more, I'm not too sure, at least operational ones. And he just made more than half. Okay.
Which is great if you're trying to build an efficient factory. It's not so great if you want your main export to be nuclear waste. And God, do we want more of these barrels. And to do that, we're gonna turn to our old friend, train technology. And the reason for that is because trains generate electricity and I can set them to go forever. So test 1. One station here and another station here. Let's put a train down and do a quick test. As you can see, firing this thing up, it goes around and around and around, generating not nearly as much as I would like, but hey, it's generating something. Something else interesting we can do is we can connect trains together, and while each train in and of itself doesn't take up more power to function like this, they all have to fire up their engines to move. That's a nice little power push for not doing a whole lot, and I'll know this power output matters. If I see barrels piling up here, I know it's working. Now I'm interested to see if we can generate some power faster.
Endless
Test number
resources.
2. In which case we see if adding some rails that go up increases how much power it takes, and then also I gave it a little more distance, mostly because I don't know how to use train tracks very well. Let's play conductor and see how it goes. So as always, when you first start it out, it does take a lot of power. Downhill does a little bit less for the power. Once the train gets moving, it takes up less because it's already got that speed going. So here's my current running theory. Maximum train combined with maximum train stations means tons of stopping and starting, meaning tons of power generated. You know, I have an idea how we can test this, but I gotta build something real fast. So hang on, it'll just take a second. Okay, here's test number whatever this is. I sure hope it goes okay. It's essentially one
calm down,
gigantic loop that
dude.
goes through all of these tracks. It's not particularly pretty or elegant. Hey, the whole point is just to generate electricity. Okay, now we've added the trains. In case you're curious, this is 188 trains, all connected together, taking up the entire track start to finish. And it's all automated, so the trains will just loop through this disaster forever. There are 23 total stations they go through, aptly named Pulp, before looping back around. You know what pains me most about this? It's not that it's actually semi-orderly, although that also pains me. It's how freaking slow everything's going. I didn't realize that would be the thing that drives me nuts. But enough talk, how's it doing for our power? At an idle state, about 6,000, not too bad. When the trains start up again, it hits a nice healthy 12,000. That's still a far cry from maxing out our potential with 100,000. But before I go nuts and start laying out more track, let's at least see if we're exporting any of the good stuff now. And by that, of course, I mean nuclear waste. Yeah, this'll do. This'll do nicely. That's a lot of barrels. I think this is working out quite well. So normally the goal would be to try to figure out where to put this stuff so it doesn't do any harm. But why would you want to hide something so majestic? Now me, I look at my base and I see something that's missing, and I think this has a chance to be a real showpiece. Once again, I'll be back in a hot minute. Well, that's looking just swell. Oh yeah.
How can he still be alive? This is bloody criminal. Oh, and by the way, a nice little tidbit. In 1984, there was an experiment made because I'm mentioning that because from what I saw in my friend's factory, he transported his nuclear waste with a train. So there was this experiment done that was supposed to check out if transportation of the nuclear waste could be done faster, of course, through putting it in the train. Because of course they're going to be put in lead containers and so much more is going to happen.
There was some buckling and some scarring on the metal of the flask, but pressure tests proved that the contents, along with the rest of us, were safe.
And it turned out that nothing would have happened. So trains are viable options if they're stored well.
Yeah, feels good. This is looking great. So one might look at this and get the impression that I covered the entirety of my base in nuclear waste. And you'd be right. Up to and definitely including the weave, which if I do say so myself has never looked better. It's kind of like this is a waste disposal site, except above ground, and advertising its presence. Oh my god, the
died before
is
even
so
touching
bad.
the ground.
If I die and I have to respawn in, I just die instantly. I've made the base so hostile I can't even be here anymore. And also the spaghetti of my base is just completely out of control now. But damn, that nuclear waste looks so vibrant in the moonlight. So I feel like this is how this base was gonna end up. Nuclear waste everywhere, power plants as far as the eyes can see. Our conveyor NATO that turned into a conveyor cocoon now has a warhead aiming up to the heavens. And thank God I can use these bounce pads to just bask in it all while I fly off. Oh, and thank my lucky stars, the frame rate's gotten kind of bad again. I'd like to thank NordVPN again for sponsoring this video. And don't forget, if you head on over to nordvpn.com/gameitout, you can get 70% off their 3-year plans. And don't forget to put in Game It Out at checkout as well to get another month free. So I think that's gonna do it for this episode. Hope you had fun, I know I did. I'm gonna go check and see if I'm growing a third arm from all this radiation, and I'll see you next time.
Dude, my Satisfactory playthrough only just got past the 60-hour mark, okay? I can't imagine how much time he has to spend doing that. Like, sure, he does this clip of like 4 hours, 3 hours past and such, but to get all the resources, dude, that's insane. Anyways, thank you so much for checking out this video, and as always, please do go and subscribe to Josh's or the Let's Game It Out channel. And man, if you got to learn a little bit about physics in this video, I'm glad you did. That said though, we should also have a wonderful day. See you guys in the next one. Bye.